Now we're going to be in section 1 of chapter 12. Again, we jump back now. We just finished talking about the Roman Empire in chapter 11. So now we're getting into chapter 12, which is the rise of the Islamic world. So we'll discuss the ways the Arabian Peninsula, or the geography of the Arabian Peninsula, analyze the ways the caravan trading affected the Arabian Peninsula, and examine the origins of Islam. For thousands of years, Arabia's location, physical features, and climate have shaped the life in the region. They live in a hot, dry area with a lot of deserts. And an oasis is a wet, fertile area in a desert. And so we're talking about their life in a desert right now. This is Saudi Arabia right here. To live in the difficult desert environment, people developed two ways of life. You would have nomads that would live in tents, raise herds of sheep, goats, and camels, and they would use the animals to provide meat, milk, wool, and the leather that they needed. So the first group were nomads. They would move around, live in tents. They would raise animals. They would use the animals for different things they could, like milk, meat, wool, leather, other things like that. And they learned to move around different places. Other Arabs lived in a sedentary or a settled life. They made their homes in an oasis where they could farm, areas that would have a little bit of fertile soil. Merchants and craftspeople lived and worked in the caravan trade, which is a group of traders that would travel together. Towns became centers of trade, having a market or a bazaar. They would sell spices, gold, leather, and other goods brought by the caravan. So a caravan is an important part of this culture because they would travel to different towns selling things. And here's a picture of what a caravan would look like. So now we're going to talk a little bit about Muhammad. Muhammad is the founder of Islam. He was born into an important family in the city of Mecca around 570. He was orphaned at a young age. His parents died. He lived with his grandpa. His grandpa also died. And so he ultimately lived with his rich uncle, which was the owner of a caravan trading business. When he was older, he managed a caravan business because his uncle allowed him to join in the family business when he grew up. The caravan trade made Mecca a rich city, but during this time, they started to ignore the problems of the poor. They started to forget about the poor people and treat them poorly and things like that. This concerned Muhammad, who went up to the hills to pray and meditate. He did this pretty regular, but he was very disturbed by the fact that the caravan traders were treating the people, especially the poor people, so badly. About the time he was 40, he went to a cave to pray when he heard what religious writers call an angel that spoke to him, telling him to recite. So Muhammad asked what he needed to recite. And the angel said, this is translated by D.J. Norwood in the Quran, says, recite in the name of the Lord who created man from clots of blood. Recite, your Lord is the most bountiful one, who by the pen taught men what he did not know. So he's basically teaching Muhammad what the belief of Islam is going to be. Islam is the beliefs that were formed from the messages Muhammad believed that he received from the angel. These are messages that were given to him about different things. A Muslim is a follower of Islam, and the Quran is the holy book of Islam. In the same way that the Tanakh would be the holy book of the Jews, and the Bible would be the holy book of Christians. And here at the top is an image of a Quran. There is the crescent star, which is a symbol of the Islamic faith, and there is an Islamic mosque. In 613, Muhammad began talking about his messages, which included the belief in one God named Allah. This was new for the polytheistic people of Arabia, who had shrines all over, including one called the Kaaba, that people would travel to see. The Kaaba is going to have worship of a number of different gods, and Muhammad's going to have a problem with this. A pilgrimage is a journey to a sacred place. It's where you travel a long journey to some place that's sacred to you. A lot of people go to Jerusalem. People will go to Mecca. You journey to a place that's sacred. And this just shows you the main Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca. And we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Muhammad's teachings upset many Arabs because it seemed like he was telling people to abandon their gods and it hurt the people that made money from the pilgrimages to the Kaaba. People made money off this. They would sell all kinds of things. People would come in, and they didn't like the idea of not worshiping multiple gods because it would hurt them money-wise. Mecca's wealthy merchants didn't like his teachings either. Muhammad taught that people should give money to help the poor, and the rich merchants didn't like this idea. He taught that you needed to give alms or charity, and these rich people thought, we don't want to do that. This is our money. We'll do what we want to with it. At first, he only had a few followers, but belief began to spread. A group of people living north of Mecca invited Muhammad to move there, since the leaders and the wealthy of Mecca wanted him dead. They wanted to run him out of the city. So the people of Medina made him their prophet, their physical leader, their political leader, their spiritual leader. And Medina means the prophet's city. Muhammad became a spiritual and political leader in Medina. The first mosque or building for Muslim prayer was his own house. As the Muslim community in Medina started to grow, they started to follow the teachings. They started to spread the teachings of Islam. Soon, most of the Arabian tribes would accept Muhammad as their spiritual and political leader, and Muhammad died in 632. And this is a timeline about Muhammad's life. So, we'll get into a little bit more about the beliefs of Islam in just in the next section. So this is the end of section 1.